Hey family, what is up? So yes, I am back at it with my good camera. So we got good quality and hopefully better sound. So if you're new to my channel, this channel was created so that I can vlog or document my journey from family medicine residency onto an obstetrical fellowship and moving forward. Essentially, I couldn't find much content about this when I was searching for it, when I was going through this journey, when I was trying to apply, when I was trying to figure out what this looked like, what is life with family practice and surgical OB outside of a residency. Like, what does that look like? Does it exist? So here we are, a created channel. Things are a little different now because things are going through Zoom or WebEx, so these virtual meetings. And so my insight might be a little different, but I think overall the information will be helpful. So if you're interested in seeing more about the family medicine with obstetrics interview process, then stay tuned. So first things first, I submitted my application and then I created a video about that so you guys can look more into that if you're interested. I'll leave a link below. But I submitted my applications around late August, early September. I found all the programs that I was looking for on a Google search. I actually provide the link below to the specific website that I used. A friend of mine who was applying the year before me provided that information, and I found it very helpful. But that is not a complete list of all the family medicine with obstetric fellowships out there. So you might also just need to do a little bit of a Google search as well. But I think that is a very good starting point, so I will include that below. But I submitted my applications to 7 programs. Of those 7 programs, I was extended an interview for 3 of them. So when you're looking at a program and you're trying to figure out if they're a good fit for you, the things that you need to ask are, the number of C-sections that are expected to be achieved by the time you graduate. Ideally, some places that are hiring will take 50 C-sections and then they're fine. Some programs or employers want 100, some want 125. So you want to try to get as many C-sections as possible so that all your opportunities are afforded to you. You're not going to be not considered because of the fact that you don't have enough C-sections. So you want to make sure that you are asking like, hey, how many do your fellows typically get? You also want to ask, where are your fellows practicing? Are they all, more rural focused? Are there some that are like residency? Are there some international? So that way you can kind of see, as far as the fellowship, how they train their providers and where their providers practice. Are they private are they private FPOBs, or do they work like a FQHC? Things like that. So that's a good thing to ask as well on your interview. Other things you want to see is, how many number of fellows are there, and then how that will affect, how often you're in the hospital. Because although fellowship can be tough, you should have some quality of life, like some decency. I feel like fellowship is like going back to intern years, but different at the same time. So you want to ask about like the quality of life, like how many fellows are there, how often are you going to be on call, and things of that nature. Also, you want to ask about the same perks that you asked about in residency. For instance, are there meals covered? Do you get lab coats? What's their vacation? All of that stuff. Honestly, those things don't matter as much because you have a year worth of training, and you need to just make sure that this program is going to best prepare you to succeed where you need to go moving forward. You also want to ask about the acuity of the pregnant patients. Like, are they all high risk? Is there like a risk out system where after they meet a certain number of comorbidities, they need to get switched to the OB-GYN? Are the midwives there? Do the midwives take all the low risk patients and then you as a fellow take the more complex? What's the referral system? So yeah, things like that. You want to see at the end of the fellowship, how high risk is the patient population that you're going to be able to treat and provide services for after you graduate. So moving on with my journey. So like I mentioned, I had applied to 7 programs and I had been offered interviews at 3. So the next step is when you get to the interview, you want to see like how your vibe is with the fellows. Do you think it's going to be an environment that you feel like you can thrive? Do you think it's an environment that is very hierarchical? Or is it one that allows you to explore yourself as an attending and in your ability to manage things? So on the interview, you want to make sure that you are have a chance to talk to the current fellows. I think with the virtual thing, it can be a little difficult, but seeing if that's a possibility, if you can get their email and you can contact them. Even though I had in-person interviews, a lot of times I would ask, hey, can I get your email so I can, if I have any follow-up questions. So that's that. You also want to see little things like, does the program, how does the program work around, for instance, if a fellow was to get pregnant, are they accommodating for this? Do the other co-fellows do coverage, or is everybody to themselves? So little things like that is kind of how you can get some insight about the dynamics of the co-fellows with one another, and then the program support of their fellows. So I went on my interviews, and of the three, I will say there was one that definitely stood out. I think that all three were gonna like train me to be phenomenal. Two of them, I was a little worried that I would be like, I didn't have enough training in residency. And honestly, that was something that I think was a personal internal process. And I think because I felt that way, I like shortchanged myself. So I don't know if I was like the best candidate presentation on those two interviews, because I just felt like I was inadequate when I compared myself to their current fellows and the people I interviewed with. I mean, some of those people seemed like they had like these phenomenal backstories. And so anyway, I say all that to say, I think my self-esteem, or my, thoughts of my personal self and where my training was, shortchanged me on my interview. So that's just know, if they're offering you an interview, that means that they think enough of you. Okay, so don't be like me and compare yourself and feel like you're inadequate. You just need to put your best foot forward and sell yourself like you would on any interview. So I just wanted to put that little tidbit in there. However, on the third interview that with my program that I'm currently with, I will say that like when I was there, I just felt like, even though I didn't have like these high number of C-sections and where I was a primary, I mentioned to one of the co-directors, I was like, hey, I haven't, my program in residency didn't allow me a lot of opportunity to be like a primary C-section or even a first assist. It's just not how it worked. It's just a different culture. And she had asked, oh, okay, well, what all have you done? And I mentioned, what I had done in a C-section. And her response was like, well, you got your feet wet. And so, I don't know, something about that comment just made me feel like, wow, they feel like, oh, sorry, one second. But yeah, so before I was rudely interrupted, as I was saying, when I talked to the program co-director here, telling her what experience I had and how, although I wanted to improve my experience, the opportunities just were not there from my residency program, which is fine. Not every program is going to train you to be, ready to perform C-sections by the time you graduate. That's just not real life. So, but she was just very like receptive, and I had mentioned it to her later, maybe a week ago. I had mentioned how that really pushed me toward feeling so comfortable in this program, and she was just saying, well, I don't really, your surgical skills are one thing, but I just need to know that your desire to do family practice and take care of these high-risk patients is there, like, and that you want to provide services maybe for people who might not have any other way to get care, like if it's in a rural community or international or something, that you can use these skills and do better in the world. And I just think that I don't know, it's just phenomenal that she has that mindset. Her and the other program co-director are very similar in their mission to train family practice with obstetrics so that they can go out into the world, go out into these communities and provide services for people that might not otherwise get care. So that was one of the really big things that set this program apart. Also, when we were doing the interview, we participated in rounds, and honestly, seeing the interactions between the residents and the attendings and the fellows, I just felt like it was so collegial. It wasn't that, that idea of like the attending is the head of the team and then everybody else is just kind of like doing things and like in this hierarchical system. It was very much so a collaborative effort, and I thought that was just so beautiful. So I was like really impressed by the knowledge of their residents within the maternal child health spectrum, like how they were able to care for these patients, diagnose things. I don't know, I was just really impressed. So I really, really liked the program when I interviewed. And I think that them meeting me where I am and accepting where what I have as my experience, all those things put together, really made me want to come to this program. So fast forward, after the interviews and all of that, I actually only got accepted into one of the programs that I interviewed, and it was this program. So it kind of worked out that one, I got accepted, but this was the one that I felt drawn to. So I think that I don't know, it was almost like serendipitous. Maybe this is exactly where I should be. And even though I'm tired and there are some things that, this program I love, and there's some things about the program that I'm like, whew, I need to work on this. As with any program, I am truly happy here, and I enjoy being on the labor and delivery floor and working with the residents. I mean, it's really, the attendings are amazing. So that's pretty much how my experience went. I don't know if that provided enough insight. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below, and I will address them, especially if it's something specific to what you're trying to achieve and I didn't touch on it. Just leave it in the comments below, and then I will try to address it with a response. But anyway, guys, so that's pretty much it for this process. Like I said, the interview system is completely different because the Zoom interviews, I can tell you from our program, we have it like a two-part situation. We have the applicants come on to see our didactic/care management, which is when we go through the chart and we find any problems with the pregnant patients and give our recommendations. So during that Wednesday session we're on anyway, so they would, if you ask, I'm sure that they would, give a couple of moments for questions to be asked. I think it just depends on how many people are on the call at that time. Like if it's a lot of people, it might be a little harder to get that designated time, but you can always ask, hey, can I get an email of one of the fellows because I have questions, and then the program should be able to put you in contact, so that's not a problem. Oh, really quickly, to address that question, some people were asking why I chose Maternal Child Health. Sorry, it's my pup. Why I chose Maternal Child Health over just an OB fellowship. This particular fellowship is Maternal Child Health, but with Surgical Obstetrics, so there's really no difference in the types of training. You're getting that C-section training. You do have, a lot of interactions with the newborn part of things, so maybe that's a difference, but as far as the surgery side of things, it's the same because it's a Maternal Child Health with Surgical OB. However, there are Maternal Child Health fellowships that do, they focus more on international training, or maybe just like the high-risk population without the C-section. So just be mindful when you're looking at a Maternal Child Health fellowship if it includes the Surgical OB or not. So that is to answer that question. I meant to put that in earlier. But either way, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one.